Let's get you your first gear accusation in 7 days.
So we all know being accused of steroids when you're natural is actually a compliment. And although it's frustrating because you might not actually be on gear, it's good to know that you look like someone who is on it. Now, how can we do this in just 7 days? Because we can't build any real muscle, but we can manipulate our diet, our water intake, and take a vasodilation stack and fraud a little bit to make your physique, no exaggeration, look twice as good.
Phase 1, we're gonna do a bit of carb and water manipulation, essentially replicating what the bodybuilders do before their show over the next 7 days.
So we're starting here at day 0 or even day -1 or 2, depending on when you want to look your best, because we're peaking for shoot day. This is when you're going to take your photos that make you look far better than you actually do. So essentially, as early as you can, maybe 4 days back from this day 1, we want to deplete. We're going into a depletion stage. So we're essentially depleting our body of glycogen.
Now, a prerequisite before you start this is getting below 12%. That's how you're gonna get the best results. If you're like 14, 15, 16% or some bullshit like that, I'll urge you to join the waitlist so you can get below 10% body fat. It's the first link in the description. That's basically a prerequisite before you do any of this.
12% is the prerequisite. Below that amplifies how much this will show. If you're above 12%, this simply will make negligible differences to your physique because you simply won't have the detail to show off your physique. So we deplete our body of glycogen for a few days, or ideally you're probably very depleted because you've been cutting. This is best off the back of a cut, and that's what bodybuilders do. They cut for 12 to 16 weeks, and then they have a peak week, which is essentially what we are doing here, just a much more simplified version. And then day 2, we're starting our carbohydrate and water load. So for the next 3 days, you're gonna be carb and water loading 2 days out from the shoot. So for the 180-pound man, which is about average, we wanna start at about 350 to 400 grams maybe. Our bodies hold about 700, 800, maybe even over a kilo of glycogen. So we need to replenish that amount of glycogen over the next 3 days. We're most likely about 90% depleted if we've been cutting for a while now. So we need to eat about a kilo of glycogen over the 3 days. So we start at 350, we load up, and we also need to water load by drinking about 6 liters of water. We should have already had a decent amount of water intake in, but we're pushing it even higher because we need to get our body used to flushing water.
And you might have never drank 6 liters of water a day in your entire life, and I get it, it's a fuck ton of water. The easiest way you're gonna get your water in is by getting yourself one of these bad boys and simply drinking one of these and then just half. And you can also just put some flavoring in it, electrolytes as well, which is gonna help you.
So you're doing that again for day 3, and we drop the carbs by about 50. Now we're sort of titrating back down and adjusting as we go. Day 4, same thing, we're still carb loading. Now we start dropping the water a little bit, back to your 4 liters a day. Day 5 is our clean out day. So we drop the carbs to about 150 to 200 grams. The softer you look, the lower on this range you wanna be. If you're actually not looking too watery, if you already look kind of tight, maybe you can still push this up to 200, 250 grams. And then shoot day. This is the day where you're gonna peak. This is where you're gonna look your best. Now we're dehydrating. We're not drinking any water on this day, essentially. We're just sort of having micro sips so that we don't get cotton mouth and feel like shit.
And because you've got your body used to flushing out all of this water, these last 2 days, it's simply gonna deplenish all of your water and you're gonna look super dry, grainy, veiny, all that good stuff.
Because usually our body holds water almost everywhere, and you're gonna have a slight film of water in your subcutaneous layer, which blurs definition, which is why once you flush this out, and you're gonna be pissing a lot, you're gonna piss out all the water that's left essentially, and you're just not gonna have that watery film, and everything's gonna look tight and super dry. I'll put up a comparison of what I looked like when I was water loading compared to my shoot day.
And the reason this is gonna make you look like you're on steroids is because guys that do take certain steroids, things like Winstrol and other dry compounds, it has this same effect and it gets them really dry and grainy. Gives that roidy look.
And in terms of carbohydrates on this day, we just adjust to how we look. This is very nuanced, it's very complicated. Once again, if you want us to just do the work, we're taking you on guys for December. It's the closest you can work with us. It's literally one-on-one. You get our phone number. We're glued to our phones. So if you want to be handheld through this whole process and even just getting shredded in general, first link in the description, last time I'll say it. But essentially, we just want dry sources of carbohydrates, rice cakes, maybe some honey, some jam, and just adjusting to how you look. The drier you look, the more carbs you can have. If you still look kind of watery from these days, keep it on the lower end. Don't eat right up until 30 minutes before you take your photos.
And what else do we want to do on our shoot day? Well, that is exactly when we take a vasodilation stack, right? You will take this 60 to 90 minutes before your training. You might already be doing some of this, but especially save it for shoot day. The first thing we can take is L-citrulline. This is 100% natural. You're not a fake natty if you take this. This essentially will boost nitric oxide production, so better blood flow in all your veins, gonna help you look more vascular. The next natural thing we can take is glycerol, liquid glycerol, okay? But we have to apply a bit of nuance to this because it's not always ideal if you're trying to deplete, because it does give you that hyperhydration. So if we've depleted all of our water, maybe it's not ideal. You know, I really try to dive into it and look at what guys do, and it's a bit, yeah, okay, I take this or I don't take this. Could be hit or miss, but I would just leave it out personally. However, if it's just normally like a pump day, take it. The next thing we can take that could be classified as natural and you could probably find in your grandpa's bedside drawer is dick pills, okay? You can take Cialis or Viagra, they work very similarly. Cialis works for a bit longer. Viagra, I think, is more just used for getting the stick up, but Cialis is used very commonly with bodybuilders. It helps with blood pressure, vasodilation, so this will help with blood flow. It'll help get your veins popping, and I guess it is natural. I mean, it really depends what you consider natural or not. It's a dick pill at the end of the day, okay? So you will need a prescription for this. There are some gray area websites. I do not condone or promote any of it. But once again, your grandpa probably stocks these.
You can take pink salt or sodium, 500 milligrams. You need to be careful with this because ideally we were also having salt on these carb load days and you're trying to take it out up to the shoot day. So it's similar to the water thing. Where sodium goes, water follows. So if you want like 100% safety insurance, just keep your sodium the same the whole time. Don't worry about the glycerol, but caffeine is a good one. But even then, it can be vasoconstrictive, but in the long term, it can actually be a diuretic and make you look better. So you need to apply a bit of nuance to this.
You can't really go wrong by just taking a good pre-workout that actually has a good formula, because it will naturally include L-citrulline and other things that will help with your pump.
And once again, on the shoot day, you need to be careful of total water intake. If you're having caffeine, you're probably having that in like a Monster or a coffee. Yeah, that's water, okay? And now you've exceeded that 0.3 liters of water on your shoot day. Even things like, I almost had an ice cream on my shoot day, and I thought about it, I'm like, wait, that's water, that's milk. There's water in the milk in that ice cream. So dry carbs on your shoot day.
Then we move on to phase 3, which is angle and lighting frauding. You do not see physiques on Instagram that aren't using lighting, angles, and frauding to enhance the visuals of their physique. Every single physique influencer studies this thoroughly. They all know about it. They've all got the tips and tricks. You can look at David Lade when he's working out with Sebum. He knows all about it. The most important part of this being lighting. You need to find some good lighting. It's very simple. Top-down lighting. You go right under it. You're going to look very good. I think everyone understands this, but you can also do other things like backlights, which will help with the silhouette of your physique. And make sure that it's also not too harsh and there is a little bit of ambient lighting going around. Bathrooms tend to have great lighting. The next one is tan and oil. The reason bodybuilders get so tanned up on stage is because of those bright lights. You know, they're not getting blown out in the shot, and it's revealing all of the detail without getting blown out.
And then learn how to pose for your physique. You will see me spam the exact same pose in every shot of B-roll. And that's because that's where I look the best. I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro. I wanna look the best in videos. Like if you've got a blocky midsection, always twist to the waist like this. If you've got a really tight midsection, you've got broad shoulders, do the front on pose. That's like the one David Lade will spam because he can actually get away with it. If you've got massive arms, front double bicep.
Yeah, and I know there are actual bodybuilding poses and I don't know how to do them. I'll admit it, guys. I don't sit there in a G-banger and do the poses. And I get called out for it all the time. I don't care. I know what looks best on my body and my proportions and my muscle groups, okay? So really learn how to pose for your physique, but don't have a biased viewpoint on it. Ask your mates. If you're in the school group, ask those guys how you can fix your posing. Very, very important.
Your environment is also massive. When it's cold, your veins just won't pop. You won't look as dry. When it's humid and hot, you're sweating, which makes you look better. The veins are popping as well. And also you're probably mildly dehydrated. Although we are doing that here. When I was in Bali, I was probably constantly dehydrated because I was just sweating all day. You literally look about 2% leaner in summer, which I guess is convenient because you have your shirt off.
And that is exactly how to get your first gear accusation in 7 days. You're gonna do a simplified version of the bodybuilder peak week. You're gonna take the vasodilation stack and you are gonna fraud the fuck out of your physique with lighting and angles. That is how you look insane on Instagram. I just gave you guys the source. Use it as you will. But this cannot be achieved if you are not lean first. And I see it all the time. They either don't have enough muscle mass or they're not lean enough and they expect to blow up on Instagram. The threshold is so high now, boys. It is so hard to stand out. So guys will have an insane physique, do all of this, and still no one will give a fuck because the threshold is so high. So if you want the best bet at achieving the AAA physique and really standing out and building a physique that gets results in the real world. Like we mentioned before, you can go to that first link in the description. You can join our wait list. I think we've only got 5 spots left. We've got literally 100 submissions, so we're pretty much booked out with calls. If you want the best bet at joining our challenge in December to get down to or below 10% body fat, join the wait list. We'll see if you qualify. We'll hop on a call and we'll get after it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.